coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Thursday morning. I said, Jerry, just hang around. Ask me that question you were about to ask me because Boomer's not here yet. But he ran out anyway. But we'll get to that coming up at like 6:25. Boomer's got lots of stuff in his hand as he joins us this morning. Something that looked like a walking stick. I have no idea the stuff that he brought into the studio, but I'm excited to find out what that is. And we're excited to talk about some positivity, as that's all Boomer wanted to do yesterday. I think that's the mode we're in right now. I think that mentally we just don't want to be dragged down by anything, because this really is a great time of year. It really is. And then we're just right on the precipice of football, and both these teams haven't lost a game yet. So, we want things to be good, man. And last night they were rocking chair victories in the end for both of these teams. And they both really needed it. You couldn't lose a series to the White Sox if you were the New York Yankees. But really in the standings and where they were, the Mets desperately needed it. And they got it. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Jay. You know, we do get a lot of gifts here.
Yeah.
I'll expose those gifts a little bit later on.
All right.
It's a little early in the morning right now. We just want to get this thing going here.
Gotcha.
And, I love the how you described last night's baseball games, because they were rocking chair games. And that's exactly, like the last two games are exactly what the Yankees need and what we all expected them to do for 3 games against the White Sox. But
okay.
All is right in Yankee world right now, so everybody's going to calm down. And then, the Mets, I don't know what to tell you. Here we go. They got to win. They got to win 75% of their games. I don't know if it's even possible to do that. I believe 75% of the games that they have left. I don't know if they can do that in order to, be taken seriously. I mean, up and down, lose a game here, lose 3 games there. That's not going to get it done. We all know that. So, this final 6 to 7 weeks of the season is going to be they have to start doing damage, as Tommy Lugauer will say. And I do appreciate his personal confidence and his optimism, because he's taking a different tack than his buddy Sean Marash, who's totally negative half the time.
Sure, that's
Not
right.
totally negative half the time. No. Always negative.
Always negative all the time. Yes, a little yin and yang situation there. And last night, of course, it's an Aaron Judge night. Fastest player to 300 home runs. He is having a remarkable season once again. And we're talking about a guy who had a miserable start to the season. I mean, he essentially had a throwaway month. And you look up at his numbers at this point, and we're talking about a great season for anybody, an all-time season for anybody.
A lot of guys would take his numbers right now and then go
end of the year.
Right, and go walking in there and say, give me a raise.
And it's August 15th.
43, 110, and he's batting 333.
Yeah.
All right, so again, I saw where a lot of people picked up what I've been saying about how the Yankees can't pay Juan Soto more than they're paying Aaron Judge. And, people, I'm serious about that. I think because of Aaron Judge's performance and because of what he has done here and the records that he has been setting and the record pace he's on right now, I'm not trying to be an idiot about it. I'm trying to be pragmatic about it and understand the finances of what's going on. And I know Yankee fans would be angry if they were unable to re-sign Juan Soto, but really that's going to come down to Juan Soto and what he wants to do in terms of his life and how much money he is expecting. Now, he turned down a lot of money from Washington, turned down a lot of money, I believe, from San Diego, and now is in a prime position because of the lineup that he's in and who's hitting behind him. Has a lot to do with this. Now, he's a great ball player, don't get me wrong. I wanted him back here 3 years ago when Jerry was bopping all over the studio.
Yeah.
So I would just, if he wants $500 to $600 million, which I would think that he's going to want. I just don't know how the Yankees can do that. I mean, they could do that and go out there and play with 6 guys, and then if he gets hurt, they're screwed.
All right, so let's, I guess, go back to the time of Derek Jeter and him being the captain of the New York Yankees, and the Yankees would spend so much ridiculous money in these off seasons to go out and get the best pitchers and the best hitters. And inevitably, he was not the highest paid player on the team.
Let's face it, A-Rod wanted to come here. A-Rod said, hey, I'll go play third base, even though he knew that he was a better shortstop overall than Derek Jeter, and he was the better player overall in terms of numbers and explosive numbers and things of that nature. That's blasphemy for Yankee fans to hear, but it's true. And Derek Jeter, they went to him and said, what do you think? And he said, fine, because he was the captain, and he knew that A-Rod would make the team better. I think that I kind of feel like Aaron Judge would say, fine, you can pay him more than me. I just don't necessarily know the Yankees want to pay him more than
Well, they're going to have to. And it's also, it's not apples to apples. It's because when they hit free agency. And the market is what, for you, what it is at that time. It's what you're worth. And the San Francisco Giants offered a ton of money. What the Padres offered a ton of money for Aaron Judge during his free agency. He decided to take the deal that the Yankees were offering him. And Hal Steinbrenner said, hey, if you want to be a Yankee, you got to take this particular deal. And he did. So if you went up to Aaron Judge and said, all right, Juan Soto could be a Yankee, but he's going to be paid more than you.
He would say, fine.
Or Juan Soto's not a Yankee and you're the highest paid Yankee. I'm sure he'd opt for Juan Soto.
I think he would do exactly what Derek Jeter did when they went and got A-Rod. I'm not saying it's him.
Right.
I'm saying what it is. It's the reality of how much money Juan Soto is going to command. And right now, I was looking at Spot Track, and Spot Track estimates different amounts of numbers, and you look into the future and you see what the contracts are, and we all know what the contracts for the Yankees are. I mean, the Yankees will have close to $90 million before they hit the tax threshold next year, I believe. But how are you going to spend that $90 million? Are you giving 50 of it to one guy and then 40 for 22 other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you'd have to if you want to keep on.
I don't know if it's maybe it's 18 guys. I would have to look at it again.
So just to be clear, it's not that you don't think that
it has nothing to do with Aaron Judge.
The statement is not that the Yankees can't pay Juan Soto more than Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge is the captain and he's the guy and he's a homegrown Yankee and everything else. It's that can the Yankees actually on the books add a salary that's more than Aaron Judge with Cole's salary on the books, with Stanton's salary on the books, and then you're adding another one on top of Judge? That's where you're saying the Yankees can't fit that.
Yeah, I mean, and I look at, I try to look at these numbers, and I think that they're relatively accurate when it comes down to trying to figure out how much the Yankees will have next year to spend before they hit the tax threshold, which I believe is $244 million. No, they're over it this year. The Mets are over it this year. The Dodgers are over it.
But there's levels of it. So I mean, you go over it a little bit, you get penalized a little bit. You go over it a lot, you get penalized a lot.
So the tax threshold right now for this season is $237 million according to Spot Track, and the Yankees are number 3 on the salary list. Their estimated salaries are $314 million right now. They're minus $77 million in space that is estimated before they get to that tax level. Their tax bill is $60 million right now. All right, so when you go to 2025 and you look into the future, and this is, anybody can do this and go to Spot Track and look at this. The tax threshold next year is $241 million, okay? And right now the Phillies have 10 guys on their roster that are going to account, I guess, with other estimated issues, 10 guys in their roster that are listed for $236 million for next year. And the Yankees are third on that list. 6 players on their roster, $189 million, meaning that they have an estimated space before they get to the tax threshold next year of $51 million.
And that's the first tax threshold, correct?
Yes. Like these things.
I know, but I think that's important. I mean, there's the Cohen tax. There's the,
Now, meanwhile, okay, so the Yankees, according to Spot Track, are going to have a $51 million space estimated before they hit the tax threshold next year. The New York Mets, however, the Yankees are third on this list. The Mets fall to 10th on this list because other guys' contracts are coming off that they're paying this year. And the Mets have almost $100 million in estimated space.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people look at this offseason and say that the Mets are the biggest threat to take Juan Soto away from the Yankees. And I really do believe the Yankees are going to make an offer. They're going to make a fair offer, and it's probably not going to be the highest offer. And it's really going to come down to whether or not Juan Soto and Scott Boras are going to go for the extra money, or they're going to say, this is perfect. I can play with Aaron Judge. I can hit in front of Aaron Judge. I mean, it's not going to get any better than this short porch. I mean, I've got the greatest logo, the most recognizable logo in baseball, in the world, on my hat and on my jersey. And by the way, it's amazing. I walked into a couple stores in Amalfi in the town, and there's Yankee hats that are sitting there.
Oh,
I'm just like, come on.
100%.
God.
They're all over the place. And they're all in different colors, too, by the way.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
just the Yankee colors.
No,
They're
I
in every
know.
color.
Especially, when you get out of the country. I was like, geez, just matching it with your outfits.
I'm not so sure that everybody who buys or wears one of those hats realizes that they're wearing a Yankee hat. I think they just like the NY logo, and they're thinking they're wearing a New York hat. Now, let me just explain this to you. The 30th team on this list, of course, is the Oakland A's. Now, the Oakland A's, according to Spot Track, have no players on their roster that are worth anything. And they have $21 million committed to players, I guess, that that could be player benefits or whatever.
It might be the floor, too. That might be the salary floor.
Right, exactly. So they have $219 million available. So maybe they'll go for Juan Soto.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be perfect.
But you know who's number 29 on this list? Is the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, they got a lot of young players.
They do. And also, so I was looking at other teams that may make a run with the amount of money that they have available. You could see Toronto going. You could see Boston. You could see St. Louis. You could see the Angels, I guess. Seattle has money available next year. And that's could that be a Robbie Cano situation? Because, the state of Washington, no income tax. State income tax, that is. I don't know. There's probably about 5 or 6 teams that will try to land Juan Soto. I would think that will put a lot of pressure on the Yankees to have to come up with the money if they want to keep him.
Yeah, and I think that the Yankee fans and the Yankees themselves bank on the idea that it's the best place to play and you can't compare the organization to anything else. And there is some truth to that. And I think
it's 100%.
I also, and the reason I say there's some truth to it is I also think that a guy who's turned down a lot of money in the past and has waited for this moment and is in his absolute prime to hit unfettered free agency is for him not to take the highest deal if it's significant money would be shocking to me.
And I don't want to hear this from somebody. He should take less in order to play on a better team, and he should take less, and he should be deferring. When I say deferring, not deferring money, but deferring to the captain of the Yankees. I don't want to hear that. His job is to get as much money and raise the stakes for everybody else. That's what his job is. Number one job is to win with the Yankees and perform for the Yankees, which he has been doing. And we all see it, and we all see how great he is. But it also, on the other side of it, the business side of it, and I always tell you this, they have to get as much money as they possibly can, and they have to raise the bar for everybody else coming behind them.
Yeah, and I think Scott Boras and his offseason, his past offseason, that was a miserable one for him. And I think that the owners and the GMs were chuckling at the fact that it was probably the worst Scott Boras offseason in the history of him being an agent. That factors into this as well.
I know one thing. The Mets, if the Mets go after him, they're not bringing back Pete Alonso.
That would be surprising, yes, because
they're not bringing them both in.
Well, the money that you'd have to pay Juan Soto would probably eliminate the Pete Alonso staying here. Plus, it also helps the PR hit if you're introducing Juan Soto in a Mets uniform and you're losing Pete Alonso as opposed to just trading away Pete Alonso at the trade deadline when the Mets are still in contention and the fan base freaks out. In the offseason, you bring in Soto, and you're like, you know what, we can't fit Alonso. I think the fan base would be okay with it.
For years and years and years, I would sit on here and I would talk about Jim Dolan and how he would love nothing more than a championship for both the Knicks and the Rangers.
Yeah.
And he would spend whatever it took in order to try to do that. And, they unfortunately haven't won a championship. However, the Knicks have finally got it right. We have a team that we could look forward to and a team that is just littered with great players, great personalities, great people you can get behind. And the way that they play, kind of reflects the way that the mid-'90s Knicks played. And then also the late 60s and early 70s Knicks played. And that's what you love. They finally have gotten to the point where, okay, they don't have a Jason Tatum, they don't have a LeBron James, they don't have an Antetokounmpo or an Embiid or any of those guys. But you know what they have? They have a collection of really hardworking, good players that we all can really look forward to seeing and watching playing basketball. Same way I feel about the Rangers. I mean, the Rangers have been disappointing. They haven't won a cup, but they're run efficiently. They pay the right guys. They're smart hockey people, but we don't have a Nathan McKinnon. We don't have a Connor McDavid. We don't have a Sidney Crosby. We don't have a Steven Stamkos. Well, we have the next level of guys that are really good collectively, and maybe you get a great goalie like Igor, and he wins you a championship before his career runs out. But I always would say, and I'll say this about Steve Cohen too, they'll spend as much money as it takes to try to win, but spending it right, the right way is the key way.
Yeah, and Juan Soto is that right guy. I mean, if you're going to break the bank, you don't break the bank on some 40-year-old loser Max Scherzer. You break the bank on the 26-year-old, I guess soon to be 27, whatever.
I think
Juan
soon
Soto.
to be 26.
Soon to be 26, so
Yes.
it's actually an earlier.
Next summer, I think he turns 26.
So, yeah, I mean, that's
that's
the guy you
sweet
do it
spot.
for.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, and that's why he's going to get paid more than Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge hit free agency at 30.
And I know we're talking about things that we have no control over. I'm just trying to predict what I think is going to happen. But, especially after the Yankees go to the World Series this year, and if he has a great playoff run,
Yeah.
and somehow he gets another World Series ring.
Was that a when the Yankees go to the World Series that I just heard?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you got him in the World Series.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. 100%
Yeah,
got them in the World
yes.
Series. Isn't baseball a funny sport?
It's a
Anything can
very
happen?
funny sport, yes.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
I have two of the great baseball players of today's age. By the way, who's your favorite, greatest baseball player you've ever witnessed?
Who's the greatest baseball player I've ever seen?
Yeah.
Dave Magadan. Really, he was the first one where he jumped off the screen to me. That speed that he had was really amazing. Him running down to first base with ankle weights. Yeah, it's that's what Jerry was talking about. Jerry this morning, he opened up the warm-up show. So we'll get to that a little bit later because Jerry, he loved Ken Griffey Jr. So he was the greatest baseball player I ever saw. And now it's Aaron Judge.
I heard he was taking he was going around asking everybody.
He was. Yes, he was. And there was one very, very interesting answer that we'll get to a little bit later this hour.
It was an interesting answer because it wasn't the answer that somebody had given and spoken about for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, and all of a sudden,
That's right.
it changed.
It did. I was shocked. I had never truly been shocked. Actually, one other time I was shocked during a warm-up show when CeeLo got up and left on Al. That was shocking to me. That CeeLo, of all people, had enough and vacated the studio because of Al Dukes.
Very, very emotional.
Yes, but this was the second time I was shocked when I heard an answer of the greatest baseball player. Someone was asked, someone who's not here right now.
And it's their opinion, and we appreciate opinions. That's what we do around here.
That's right. They were asked the greatest baseball player I ever saw, and the answer just it blew me away to the point where I'm going to dedicate an entire segment to it. That's how
you are?
That's how blown away I was.
Okay.
I think it's going to happen right around 6:45.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. Is Jerry going to stay with us then?
No, I don't think. I mean, if he wants to, but
he's
I know he's got
started this whole thing.
Yeah, it's true, but I don't. Jerry he's got to do some work out there. You know, he's got to cut tape. We don't need him. I don't want to bug him.
Okay.
But if he'd like to stay, he could stay. All right.